is Harvey McAvoy, and this is the lecture to go along with the addition worksheet for the Math 064 ABE class. We're going to start talking about the vocabulary associated with addition first. You should know the vocabulary. It's part of the language of mathematics. So in general, we're talking today about addition. We are adding whole numbers today. Remember, whole numbers are just all the counting numbers or the natural numbers plus 0, so 0 and any of the others. Addition problem might look like this. 7 plus 9 equals 16. Each of these parts of the problem have a name, so we're going to name all of these. If it's a number that you're adding, whether it's the 7 in this case or the 9, those are both called add-ins. The add-ins are the things that are being added. The answer to an addition problem is called a sum. So if they ask you in a problem to find the sum, they're asking you to add the numbers. But also we have a couple of other things I want to point out. This over here is the addition sign, and it's called the operator. It's actually, in this case, the addition operator. So the operator or operation is the symbol that tells you what to do. And so with the plus sign, it tells you, tell you that you're adding. It's an operation or an operator. And then we have this line right here, which in this case, the way we wrote it is actually the equality symbol. So this actually says 7 plus 9 equals 16. We write the line underneath there. It's a way of writing an equality symbol. So let's look at those terms in a little different format. Let's say that I had 3 plus 5 equals 8. Well, those are the same symbols, but now that equality symbol that was just a line before, that equality symbol is an actual equal sign in this problem. So the equality symbol is there. What would be the 8 in this problem? Well, the 8 is the answer, so the 8 is the sum. What about 3 and 5? 3 and 5 are the add-ins. Three and 5 are both add-ins. Those are the things that are being added. And finally, we have the equality symbol. I mean, we had that already. We have the operation. Which is addition. So you can call it an operator, or you can call it operation, but that's the symbol that tells you what actual problem to work. So those are all vocabulary that you should have. Add-ins, sum, the operator, the equal symbol, those are all things that you should know as you work through addition problems. Okay, so that's the vocabulary of that. But also a vocabulary associated with the word sum. Remember, a sum is the answer to an addition problem. Sum implies addition. I could say, find the sum of two numbers. Find the sum of means that you should add. But I could also say, combine the numbers. Flips is just meaning go ahead, but combine is a word that would indicate to you that you're looking for a sum. I could also say, maybe there'd be a word problem, and the last thing they would say, what do you have altogether? Altogether is another word that would suggest to you that you should be adding those together. Sum, combine, all together, are all kind of asking you to find the same thing. Or they could say, find the total. That's another key word for addition. If they're saying, he did 7, she did 6, he did 9, find the total number that they did all together, then that would be the also. Combine, total, sum, increased. Oh, I didn't do increased. So I could also say something like a number increased. I wrote that kind of sloppy. Let me write that better. The word increase is another key word for addition. So all those words that I've underlined, sum, combine, altogether, total, increase, those are all words that would suggest to you, if you're working a word problem, that you should add those together. So I'm going to be looking in the word problems. You need to read it and see what words kind of suggest to you that happened. And sometimes they say something like in addition to, or that's not the only 5 words, but those are the 5 that you see a lot. Okay, let's see. I'm just going to actually do a few addition problems and see how that goes. 87 plus 94. Well, let's do a very simple one. If you have something like this where you're adding single digit numbers, but when you add them together you get 2 digits, then you write that down that way. So 7 and 3 is 10. The 7 plus 3 more is 10. And so I'm just going to write 10 here. And we try to line things up with addition. We line up our ones places and our tens and our hundreds so that it makes sense. So if you had something like 17 plus 9, if you were going to work that problem, you would line it up, 17, and then the 9, because the 7 is in the ones place and so is the 9. So you want to make sure you're lining your digits up. You don't want to put the 9 under the tens column because it's not a 10, it's a 1. 7 plus 9 adds up to be 16, so that's going to be 6. And when you have a second digit like the 1 here, I have to carry it. So it gets carried to the next column. Because when I have 16 ones, I really have 6 ones and 1 10. And so I put the 10 up there and then I add that on. So I have 1 plus another 1 for a total of 26. If I have something like 41 plus 32, again I'm lining those up. And then I add straight down. 2 plus 1 is 3. 4 plus 3 is 7. I didn't carry anything in that problem because it didn't spill over. I have to get something more than 10 to have to carry. If nothing more than 10 happens, then I don't have to worry about that. So I can add single digit numbers. I can add double digit to single digit. I could add 2 doubles. I could add a triple digit number. Like that, to a double digit number. Let's do this one. When I add 7 plus 5, 5 and 7 is 12. So I have 12. I'm going to put the 2, which is in the ones place, down, and I have 1, which is going to go up above to add on to that tens column. Now when I add the tens column, I have 8 and 7, which is 15, but I have this 1 up there that I put So I have 15 plus 1, which is 16. And again, the 6 is in the ones place. That we're going to write down, but the 1 from the tens, that goes up here because now I actually have another one that's going to carry over into the hundreds. And then 1 plus 1 is 2. So 262 will be the answer for that. I'm carrying all along the way. I had to carry as I went down. I can also add, if you haven't added before, you're not very good at adding, you just have to do a bunch of them. You get better the more you do. The practice sheet that I have for you has just about 5 problems to practice. That's enough if you've done it before and you just need a little bit of review. But it's not enough if you're new to it and you're struggling with it or you're really working on it. Then you want to go into the textbook that your teacher can give you or worksheets that your teacher can give you to do extra practice until you get it down. Let's say I have 176, 2,349, and 34. I can add up as many numbers as I want, but every time I put a number in to add, I want to line up the ones and line up the tens and line up the hundreds. And the neater you can be and the more precise you can be, the easier it will make it. So for some people, the reason that you're not maybe good at math is because you're not very organized and you're a little sloppy. So you really want to slow down and write things where things line up, and you'll find that it makes it easier. Okay, I'm going to add up the first column. 6 and 9 is 15. Plus 4 is 19. So I have 19 altogether. The ones we put into the first column, and the 1 is what I carry into the next one. So I always put the ones place down and carry the next one. Then I'm going to add these up. I've got 7 and 4 is 11, plus 3 is 14, plus this one that I carried is 15. Again, I had 15. The 15 I'm going to write down, and the 1 I'm going to carry to the next column. I'm always carrying the tens place, not the ones. Now I'm going to add these 3, 1, and 1 is 5. Nothing to carry here because I got 5. I didn't get 15, so nothing to carry. And then bring the 2 down. So my answer is 2,559. Remember, you're carrying the tens, you don't carry the ones. Let's do one more. Of course, what you should be doing is shutting off the video or pausing the video and trying these on your own. 7,234, 2,900, 6,598. I think the longest I have you do is just 3 numbers, but you could get a problem where you're adding 12 or 20 numbers. Probably, if you had to add 12 numbers, you'd get a calculator. But for these smaller problems, it's not that hard to do without a calculator. So we get 8 and 4, which is 12. When you get 12, you put down the ones digit underneath, and you carry the tens, so we're carrying the 1. Then add up the next column. 9 and 3 is 12, plus that 1 you carried was 13, so we're carrying that. We got 13. We wrote the 3 down, and we carried the 1. Then you're going to add up the next column. 2 and 9 is 11, plus 5 is 16, plus 1 more is 17. Carry that. We got 17. We wrote down the 7, and we carried the 1. And then we're going to do the last one. 7 and 2 is 9, plus 6 is 15, plus 1 is 16. I have 16. I don't have anywhere to carry that 1, so I'm just going to write 16 down. Then it just stays that way, 16,732. Okay, so you want to practice adding, and if you're having trouble, talk to your instructor about getting more practice, something you can take on and practice a bunch of them, because again, you only have 5 to practice on your worksheet. Okay, then we're going to look at the word problems that I put on here, and I'm going to actually help you out with these. These are the actual word problems on your practice sheet. This isn't going to help you with the word problems that you're going to do in class with your instructor, but we'll give you, just going to give a little more space here. It's a little bit crowded. Okay. This problem says Sherry invited 239 guests to her wedding. Then her fiance, that's the person she's going to marry, invited 17 of his friends from the office, and her mother invited 6 of her cousins. How many people were invited to the wedding? So in this problem, it doesn't give you any of those keywords. You just have to read it and say, what would I feel like I should be doing here? And what you should be doing is adding up, right? We could have said we're invited to the wedding all together. And that wouldn't change that sentence, and it would give you an idea of what word we're looking for. So I'm adding that in for you. So it is an addition problem, and I want to just add the 3 things together. She had 239 guests that she invited, plus her mother or fiance invited 17 more people, and then her mother invited 6 more people. And that's the problem you want to work. And so if you want to take a second to write that down without me doing it and see how you can do on that, it looks like this if you line it up correctly. 239, 17, and 6. And that's the problem that you want to solve to get that answer. And I'm going to give myself enough space to write that in. 9 and 7 is 16, plus 6 is 22. So I had 22, and I'm going to write down this 2, and I'm going to carry the next 2. Now I'm going to add that up. 2 and 3 is 5, and 1 is 6. Nothing to carry. And then bring that 2 straight down because I'm not adding anything to that. And so you can see that they must have invited 262 people to the wedding. To get rid of all this ink. Let's look at the next problem. The temperature of a wire may exceed 500 degrees before arcing. If a wire is at room temperature, which is 71 degrees in this problem, and you increase the temperature by 365 degrees, then increase it again by another 92 degrees, would the wire be hot enough to arc? And it would take 500 degrees for that to happen. So we can see in this problem we have the word increased. You increase. There's our key word. You increase it again. It's our second time. And so we know it's an addition problem because we're increasing it and increasing it. What I'm going to do is start with room temperature, which is 71. You increase it by 365. And you increase it again by 92. Add those together to see if you would have gotten it high enough for it to actually arc. So 6, 7, 8. 7 and 6 is 13, plus 9 is 22. Carrying that 2. And 3 plus 2 is 5. So if you increase it and increase it again, you get to 528 degrees. The question is not what temperature was it, but just would it be high enough to arc? Would it be? Yes, because it said it would arc if it got above 500 degrees. So 528, definitely we're good for arcing. This is kind of a pain, sorry. but I have to get rid of this so I can scroll down. Okay, last word problem. Again, your benefit, to benefit yourself here. Don't watch me do the problem. Do the problem yourself, and then come back and watch and see if you did it correctly. Okay. Melody had $1,100 in her checking account before she wrote the following checks. A car payment for $185, her groceries for $92, her house payment for $495, daycare was $125, and utilities $147. How much did she spend altogether, and did she have enough money to cover all the checks? So how would you do that? Well, it's saying spend altogether. So you add all that up. We have 185, 92, 495, 125, and 147. And I have to start over here a little bit higher. Sorry. Add all those together. So if you haven't started to do that now while I'm writing this again. And see what you get. Check it, always try it yourself, and then go back and see what I got and see if you match. Then you're getting good practice on your own, not just passively watching. Math has to be, you have to get engaged. Can't just watch somebody else do it and expect to be good at it. I'm already good at adding, so that's why you would want to practice yours on your own. Okay, adding straight down. 5 and 2 is 7, plus 5 is 12, plus 5 is 17, I'm still making dots, 17 plus 7 is 24. When you get something like 24, you put down the 4 and you carry the other number. So we're going to carry the 2 there. Now I'm going to add this column, and these numbers are pretty big, so it's not that easy to do in your head. You don't have to do it in your head, you can write things down. I'm going to do it in my head because I have more experience. I'm going to add 8 and 9 and get 17, plus 9 is 26, plus 2 is 28, plus 2 is 32, plus 2 up here, or plus 4 I should say, is 32, plus 2 is 34. Alright, so what happened right there is I got a little confused, said things a little weird. When you do that, you should double check, because math, you've got to get it right. So I'm going to go back and add these things. 8 and 9 is 17, plus 9 is 26, plus 2 is 28, plus 4 is 32, 33, 34. Put the 4, carry the 3. I feel like I did it. To sing twice, I think it's probably right. I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So according to my addition, she spent altogether $1,044. Did she have enough in the checking account to cover it all? Well, she had $1,100. So yes, comparing those two numbers, $1,100 is more than $1,044. So she did have enough to cover all of her checks. In this case, they asked both questions. Could she cover it? And how much did she spend? The last two questions ask you to translate to standard notation and add. Remember what standard notation is. It's writing the numbers, writing as numbers instead of as words. So these problems, when you're talking about writing several numbers in a row, they're separated by semicolons. When you see a semicolon, that means a new number. So looking at this, it's too bad this is all green because that doesn't help. Get rid of that. When you look at this, you have 473, then there's a semicolon, that's the one number. 1,891, second number, and 5,012. Remember, the word and is not part of our numbers. When we read a number, we don't say and. So when you see an and here, that's an English and. That's just connecting those three parts. It doesn't have anything to do with any of those three numbers. Notice in the parts that I underline, no ands, just the numbers. So we're going to write 473 is our first number. Our second number in blue, 1,891. Again, stop the video, try it on your own, then come back and see if you did it right. 1,000, so I have it 1 in the thousands place, and then 891. And finally, 5,012. 5 in the thousands, and then 12, and then I add those up. So, I want to look at, I should have done that in green, just to make it a little more clear. Sorry. 5,012 is our green number. And I'm adding all those up. Now I'm just going to add that straight down. 3 plus 1 plus 2 is 6. 7 and 9 is 16, plus 1 is 17. 8 and 4 is 12, plus 1 is 13. And 5, 6, 7. So I'm asking you to do two things. Write the numbers in standard notation and then add your answers at that point. 7,376 is the sum of all of those. Okay, so try this on your own for this next problem down while I get rid of all this junk. Like why some numbers just get excluded, I don't know. Remember, we're separating with semicolons as we saw there. And let me get rid of this. We have 3 numbers again. I should put the and in there. 1,615, 18,000. So 18,000, then there's a semicolon, so there's our first number. 1,006,084, another semicolon. The word and connects all these together. 1,615. So those are the 3 numbers that you're going to write and then add together. 18,000. I have 18 in the thousands period, and I don't have any other numbers in the ones, so that's it. 1,006,084. Well, 1 million, only 6 in the thousands, and then 84 in the ones. That's 1,006,084. Oh, I should have did those flip-flopped. This is the blue one. Whoops, I put it in the blue, so right. And this is the black one. Okay, 1,615. And add all that together. So, 18,000, 1,006,084, and 1,615. I can't really say about the colors of what's going on in my head here, but I had red, I wrote green, but I want those to match just so you can see the blue one is blue, the green one is green, and the black one is black. And now I'm going to add those together. Sorry about that. I was trying to be all great with the color coordinating and didn't get so great. Adding straight down 4 and 5 is 9. 8 and 1 is 9. 6. have my comma because I'm in a new period. 8 and 6 is 14, plus 1 is 15. Carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. The 0 and the 1. So 1,025,699 would be the sum of those three numbers. So we wrote the numbers, and then after writing the numbers, we added them up. We found the sum. Remember, you can say add, you can say find the sum, you could say combine. There's a lot of different ways to say addition. What you want to take away from this lesson, what you want to be able to do, because you always want to try to do this, then when you get to class and your instructor asks you to fill out a similar sheet in class, you want to be prepared to do that. And so here's all the things that I want you to be able to do. I want you to know the vocabulary for addition. So I want you to be able to label the parts, like 17. What is that? Well, that's an addend. What's 46? You've got a list up here of things to use. So you've got these four terms, and I want you to label each of them in sort of this manner. Just take a pencil and go, okay, this is an addend. You're going to write much nicer with your pencil than I'm writing with this mouse. But that's what I want you to do. Label each part. What is this one called? What is 46 called? Yeah, it's a sum. So I want you to label all the parts of the problem like we did at the beginning of this lecture. All right. And I want you to be able to know words that suggest addition. And so the words that we talked about were altogether, increased, all those words. Which one of those suggests addition? Some of those don't. And I want you to be able to circle the ones that do. And then I have 5 problems for you just to practice your addition. Practice carrying, make sure that you can do that. And then we have the word problems, which we did go through together. Try them again on your own and make sure you get the correct answers. And then finally we have being able to write a number in standard notation from written notation and add those together. So that's what I'd like you to be able to do for this lesson. If you find that you fill this out and you still aren't confident, then ask your instructor for more practice. That's all for today. I'll see you next time. Thanks.